Right
This
now.
conference
Tell me
will
when you're
now be
ready.
recorded.
Okay. All right. So
Okay,
Bob
I'll
made a
make a motion to call the meeting to order, and then we need a second.
I seconded that, trustee Galusha.
What a good birthday present.
Yeah,
Dorothea, would you call for a vote, please?
sure. Trustee Keating,
I would like to pose that Frank gets to second everything all night for his birthday, and I'll second the motion that was just made.
Thank you.
okay. Trustee Stetser,
That's her eye.
Trustee Lampier,
Lampier, aye.
Trustee Galusha,
Trustee Galusha, aye.
Mayor Corby.
Corby, aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Could I ask everyone to turn off their phones? And also, if anyone has any items you would like to disclose as conflicts of interest.
Lampier, I do not.
report. Trustee Galusha, I have nothing to report.
Anyone
The
else?
meeting- Dorothea, the meeting appears to be locked.
Nope, I just unlocked it. It must have got
Unlocked
hit when I recorded.
Okay. I have nothing to declare now. This is Trustee Keating.
That's her, nothing to declare.
Nor do I have anything to declare. With that being finished, our first item is the building inspector's report.
Everybody have a copy of the report? Any questions, comments, constructive criticism?
Yeah, I did have some questions. Can you go a little deeper on what the state this is a recurring thing? You mentioned it at the tequileria and the whole between or the passing things between. Where does that sit right now?
What I requested of them is I need a permission letter from both owners, from the other owner. And they also, before that would be done, they need to come in and modify their special permit for what used to be the kitchen, because now it's a new restaurant, which we've approved, but we did not approve them to utilize the tequileria space. So they will have to come in. I see no sense in having them cut a hole through a building until they have actually permission to use the other side.
And how would they cut a hole through the building, and how would they prevent fire spread between buildings?
Those are two separate walls. So I originally thought it was one wall, but they are actually two separate buildings. So as long as they fire rate the opening, the doorway on both sides, they can legally create a pass-through because they are two separate walls.
So there would be in each wall, there would be a fire rated opening that would also meet the requirement for no combustible surfaces within 10 feet of a commercial building.
Correct.
I'm sorry, this is Trustee Lampier. I have a question.
Yep.
Are they required by fire code, state fire code, to be breakaway doors? Do they have to remain closed at all times? I don't understand how that works.
I think they have to have a fusible link and a closer on them, don't they, Steve?
Yes.
Okay.
So
For a fusible link for everybody else, that's a device that in the event of a fire, it automatically closes the door if the door happened to be open.
Right. The doors can magnetically be held open, but that magnet has to be tied into the fire system. So if there was an alarm, it automatically releases the door.
good to know. So Steve, I need a little clarification on what you said there. So there is a permit in place for the tequileria. We know that they're operating right now.
Yes.
And then they will apply for one in the new space for the restaurant.
I believe we already gave them permission for the Mexican restaurant, but we only gave them permission for that space. This is exactly the same thing as like Lock 32. When they wanted to expand into a different space, they would either have to amend, or in this case, we're issuing a brand new special permit for them to utilize the secondary space.
Okay, so, but here's my question is, if they have permits for both to operate in both spaces, why do they need to change that?
Because one's a restaurant, one's a bar, technically a bar restaurant, and they are two separate entities. The special permit was issued just for the Tequileria, and the special permit was issued just for the former kitchen, not the combined space.
Okay. All
They
right.
have two separate special permits.
Okay. Do they know this, that they need to do this?
Yes, I have talked to the owner. I've emailed him, told him my requirements, and then I haven't heard anything again for probably 3 weeks now.
So then we need to do a special permit as the trustees.
But they need to apply for that.
Right.
They-
So it's gonna take some time.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
May I have a clarification, Steve, for the record?
Pardon?
May I ask for a clarification for the record, please?
Yes, go ahead. What do you
Okay.
need?
The Tequileria is operating under a special use permit as a restaurant,
Correct.
correct? So you stated that it was a bar. So
Well-
I want,
It's technically a restaurant. They serve finger foods in there, but they don't serve restaurant style meal, full 3-course type meals. And what they wanted to do is upgrade to be able to offer a better menu than what they can in their current position, because they only have minor facilities in the basement to create food.
sure. I just want to make certain that it's on the record that they are operating under a special use permit granted by the Board of Trustees as a restaurant, and they are operating under our code. So as long as they're, yes, okay.
Currently can legally operate as separate entities as restaurants under our code.
Okay, so we're talking about two different businesses and we have to be strictly speaking, because you have two buildings, right?
Right.
So you have building A and building B. Each one has to have its own special use permit because they have two different owners, building owners. Got it. So each one
Correct.
has to have its own special use permit. I
Correct.
see. Okay.
All right. Did you have any other questions, Dan?
No, thank you, Steve. Oh, I have one more on a different topic on your report. Are we done with that particular one? Okay, so the other one was on the Collins property and to get final drawings for site plan. Can you talk, so the pavilion has been moved to avoid the use of the Canal Corp property as they would have been able to rescind the permission. Okay, as the Canal Corp would have been able to rescind their permission at any time. So
Yes,
now
that
it's not on Canal Corp property at all.
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
Correct. Yeah, because she didn't want to take the chance of spending that kind of money, and then all of a sudden the Canal Corp come along and say, well, we changed our mind. You got to cut 3 feet off your building and get it off our property.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
I do have one item that I would like to bring to the board in regards to 29 South Street. The Murrays had applied for a couple of different variances. They were referred to the HPB and end up rescinding their applications. They never came to the planning board to get their variances, and I would ask that the board allow Mary to refund the $200 fee for the planning board, as they never followed through with the application.
I'll make.
I will
a
make that
move.
motion. Thank you. I will second
made
it,
it, I
Lampier.
Thank you.
I thought Frank was
Okay,
second.
would you-
Sorry, birthday boy. Sorry. Stepped on your
Would
birthday.
you call the vote, please?
Thank you.
You're muted, Dorothea.
Trustee Keating,
Keating, aye.
trustee Lampier,
Lampier, aye.
trustee Stetser,
That's all right.
trustee Galusha,
Trustee Galusha, aye.
Mayor Corby.
Corby, aye. Are there any more comments or questions on Steve's report? Seeing that there are none, let's move on. Jeff Turner, I spoke to Jeff earlier. He does not have anything to report. He'll be here later tonight. So let's move on to the DPW report. Zach?
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Zach.
Not sure if you guys have gotten my report. My email's been on the fritz for the last few days, so I didn't get the last updated packet. So I'm not sure if you guys had a chance to see it.
We do.
We have it, Zach.
Okay. Any questions?
Yeah, I had a question on the SRF study on Shane Place before and during the State Street reconstruction. I get that. Why? What difference will it make if we have the information? How are we going to change? I'm just trying to avoid spending money. So to summarize, we're going to do a study before and during the reconstruction of Shane Place traffic.
I'll
Correct.
explain it. In meeting with Zach, we discussed doing a traffic study because we anticipate a heavy load of traffic, including truck traffic on Shane Place. Shane Place has an 8-ton weight limit on it right now. Because we have infrastructure in there, including catch basins, a road that is aging in its condition, and particularly the speed tables that are there are likely to take some wear. And so if we need to seek reimbursement from the state for rebuilding or repaving Shane Place, we want to document the type of wear and the amount of traffic that it's occurring there before the bridge closes and the difference after the bridge closes. So we have accurate numbers on what the potential additional traffic actually was with data.
Okay.
Bob, this is Lily. Also, you mentioned the 8-ton weight limit, but it's not posted. So that was another thing that I had brought up at a previous meeting regarding my concern for the wear and tear on Shane's Alley and the potential reimbursement by the DOT for the repair of that road. What does the board think of having the 8-ton limit posted due to the fact that because of the detour, we might find heavier trucks trying to make a detour through the village on that street it's not infrastructure cannot support it.
I already talked to Zach about that, Lily. I think that's a great idea. The other thing that I have done is I've reached out to DOT and asked them to include on their signage that there is an 8-ton weight limit ahead. So when you get to Marsh Road and Route 31, there will be signs there that will say 8-ton limit ahead.
Okay, thank you.
And in theory, I completely agree with that, Lily. And in theory, the trucks should detour before they get to Shane Place, right?
Correct.
Everyone should.
But there
Yeah.
will be local deliveries that will go through here.
And the
And
fire
just
department-
because they should doesn't mean they will.
Yeah, it's not really enforceable, is it? I mean, I don't know what they can do but posting will help, obviously.
Like anything, you have to inform people what the expectation is, or there is absolutely no way to enforce it.
Yeah.
Okay, Zach, I'm sorry. Go ahead with your report.
So is that approved to hire SRF for this study?
I'll make a motion that says that.
I'll second that.
Just to clarify, this would be for South Street also. We've already got the preliminary study done that we did back in 2019. So all we would need to do is just one more study during the detour for South Street.
So can someone clarify what needs to happen on Shane Place? I mean, it's going to be, we anticipate that it's going to be in terrible shape after the detour. We're hoping DOT will pay for some of the cost to rehabilitate it or resurface it. What are we hoping to gain from SRF's study of Shane Place? Are we anticipating? Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Just a traffic count, just to get an idea of the extra flow that would be going through there.
So it's just specific to the detour, the amount of traffic that will be happening because of the detour.
Correct.
Okay. Thanks.
We're trying to quantify the additional traffic that will be going over Shane Place in direct response to the closure of the bridge.
Okay, great. Thank you. I didn't get my email. I have no emails from the last 2 days and they haven't caught up yet. So I didn't get to see your report. So thank you for clarifying.
You're welcome. I'm sorry, go ahead with your vote.
Okay, Dorothea, would you do a roll call, please?
Sure. Trustee Keating,
Keating, aye.
Trustee Lampier,
Lampier, aye.
Trustee Stetser,
That's all right.
Trustee Galusha. Frank, you're muted.
Trustee Galusha, aye.
Mayor Corby.
Corby, aye. Thank you.
Motion
You want to
passes.
talk about Michael Hartman, Zach?
Yes. So for the last few months, we've had a job posting posted on Indeed, and we've had very minimal amount of applicants applying for this position. And the applicants that we have had have not really fit the criteria that we are looking for. Michael Hartman came through. We first interviewed him 2 weeks ago, and he seems to be the best fit. He has a background in DPW work and has been an equipment operator. He's got 14 years with the Thruway Authority doing maintenance on bridges and thruway itself. He's got a CDL Class B with the necessary endorsements, and we've interviewed him twice now, and I think he would be a good fit. And I've gotten the go-ahead to offer him a position for $18 an hour, and just looking for approval to hire him.
So moved. Discussion.
Yes, I have a question. Zach, when we talked about Mr. Hartman, I asked if he had a clean license. You said Dorothea was going to check that.
That's usually Dorothea. Once he hands her his license, then she can do a background check on him.
All right,
So any appointment tonight would be conditional upon receipt of a clean background check?
Correct.
Yes. Yes. And my other question, Zach, we talked about his availability on weekends and when he would be on call. He doesn't object to anything like that, does he?
No, we've made him fully aware of all the overtime that is required for this position, including being available for emergency calls. And he lives in West Aronicoit. He's about 20 minutes away, so he's ready to go. He's all set.
Okay. Okay, that's all I had.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion. Trustee Galusha.
Dorothea, would you do a roll call vote, please?
Yes. Trustee Keating,
Keating, aye.
Trustee Lampier,
Lampier, aye.
Trustee Stetser,
That's all right.
Trustee Galusha,
Trustee Galusha, aye.
Mayor Corby.
Corby, aye.
Motion passes.
Zach,
you, guys.
anything else you'd like to discuss?
Nope, that's all I've got for tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Also, I was just going to note, Zach, that the new piece of equipment seems to do an excellent job on the sidewalks. It seems to really get it down close. How's it working out?
It's working out great. It's very capable. It's about twice as fast as the S130 was. And Jason's a phenomenal operator so far. He's picked everything up very quick and doing everything very efficiently and doing it very well. He's got a good eye for this. I hope we can hang on to it. But yeah, the machine's great.
Yep, that's good to hear. All right, we're
Yeah.
moving along to the treasurer's report.
Can I raise one more point?
You can. Yep.
Zach, I think this is the second or third time within the past few months that we've had to clean up sewer problems because of wipes and similar material put down toilets. Bob, can we put something like that in our newsletter that our residents know that they shouldn't be doing that?
There is another e-news going out, and that is one of the topics. We discussed that in the office today. That will be included in the next newsletter that goes out.
Good, okay.
Can I take that one step further and actually, would we be able to send out a mailer to each residence for this? I don't know if that's going a little above and beyond, but If it starts
I
too
think
bad,
if we do that, Zach, I think that's not a bad idea, but we might want to include some other cost, parking requirements and a few other things as well. So let's, maybe tomorrow in the office, we can discuss that. And we'll go through the snow on the sidewalk and the other issues that we should also include. Okay?
sounds good.
Okay, great. All
Okay,
right.
that's all I had.
Anything else, Zach?
Nope.
All right.
I'm good.
Moving on to the treasurer's report. And tonight, I think Brooklyn is going to give the treasurer's report.
Yes, I am. Good evening, everyone. If we would like to look at our packets, we have a few vouchers for you to review. Everything is normal. I like to draw attention to voucher 436, which are our CPA services through October 2020. That is on page 2. On page 3, I would like to bring attention to 2 different items, voucher 440 and voucher 446, which is the HSA funding for Marina and myself.
Questions
Can
on the
I ask-
vouchers?
Can I ask
Yes, go ahead.
something? Voucher number 436. Bob, I think you've got some information on that possibly. Mengel, Metzger, and Barr were being charged $800 again. I know whenever something comes up with a court and they have to testify, they send through a bill. Is this the last of this, Bob? Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, we had talked before, and Mindy Zoglin was going to take over representation of that. I think maybe we want to hold off on that bill, find out what it's for, because
Wait,
there
wait.
was. Yep,
Bob,
Go
can I
ahead.
jump in here?
Yep.
yes.
Mengel, Metzger, and Barr and Company LLP for $800 is for our CPA services. This is for when
Yes, you're right. It says it
Jen-
right there. Yep.
Jen comes out to verify the books and whatever. So it's not an attorney firm. It has a name like one, so that's why it's confusing. But this is our CPA.
The names are similar. Yep.
Yes,
Okay.
go ahead.
Yep. Great. All right. Any other comments, questions on the vouchers?
All right, I need a motion
Okay.
to approval the payment of the vouchers totaling $17,246.37.
I will make that motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion, trustee Galusha.
Dorothea, would you call for a vote, please?
Will do. Trustee Keating,
Keating, aye.
trustee Lampier,
Lampier, aye.
trustee Stetser,
That's all right.
birthday boy Galusha,
Trustee Galusha, aye.
Mayor Corby.
Corby, aye.
Motion passes.
And hey, guys, I had some approvals on the outstanding legal invoices, but they're in the old email that hasn't migrated over. So maybe we'll take care of that at the next budget
We
meeting.
could do it at the budget meeting next week, Dan. Okay. I'm going to skip over the minutes. We'll come back to them. Jeff has arrived. So also, I just wanted a reminder to everyone that to comply with the open meetings law, please refrain from texting or any communication with anybody that's not visible here on the screen. We have to follow the guidelines of the New York State Office of Open Meetings Law. So texting or communication, phone calls, while we're in the process of meeting as an official board is prohibited unless you disclose both who you're talking to and what the content of that conversation is. Okay. Next thing is Scott. Are we expecting Scott tonight, Dorothy? Is he still coming later to the meeting?
Yes, last I spoke to Scott, he's going to join us. He's at a meeting with Victor,
Yep.
and then he's going to pop over here as soon as he can. So I told him we would hold the item until he arrived.
All right, so let's skip ahead to number 3, the application for a special permit for the Neutral Ground Coffee House.
The only question I had on this one is this just Dolce Cupcakery that's going to kind of offer this, or is this a whole new business? I'm just curious. I don't think it makes a difference. I was just curious.
And she's over there.
Steve, do you want to explain what's going on there?
There, she's over in the corner.
Well, hi, everybody. I'm
Hi.
Mary Ann.
Would you like, hi, Mary Ann. Would you like to
Hi.
speak and explain what the plan is for coffee at Dolce Vita?
Absolutely. So you guys all know Lisa, who owns Dolce Cupcakery. Obviously, COVID has impacted her significantly. And so her and I are sharing that space. She's going to use the commercial kitchen, and I'm going to use the front as a neutral ground coffee house. So it is a separate entity. What I'm doing, it'll be a separate LLC. However, Lisa is going to do all my baking for me. I will retail her cupcakes for her. So it's a really good partnership because, quite honestly, if she didn't have somebody going in there and like sharing the rent and that sort of thing and utilities, she said she wouldn't be able to stay in that space. So I'm excited about it. She's really, her and I are going to be really good partners if this sees the light.
Okay, that's super. Thank you, Mary Ann.
Sure.
I don't think there's anything in our code that's precluding two special use permits because we were just talking about that on Main Street, although they were two separate buildings and you're sharing one storefront and one door. I think it's also great because your hours of operation do not coincide with other restaurants and businesses in the area in the evening, as you're only open until noon or 1 o'clock, something like that. So there's no conflict as far as parking is concerned. So, for that reason, I think that you're right. I think it's a very good use and a nice marriage of two businesses that will help each other.
Yeah.
It's super.
Yeah, thank
Super.
you. Does anybody have any questions for me?
I have a question for the other trustees. I don't remember for the uses. Is a coffee shop technically a restaurant, or did we think of those differently in the code?
It's separate in our code. Coffee shop is separate than restaurant.
And does require a special permit?
It does because it's not. Go ahead, Bob.
It's selling food and it incorporates seating, which has essentially the same issues as other food serving uses, trash, parking requirements for a more intensive use other than traditional retail and other things. Certainly, I believe this is a suitable location for it. The other thing I didn't see in our package is if we do a resolution tonight, we should reference the performance standards in the code. Steve, could you look that up quickly for us?
Hey, Bob, I
you'd
don't.
have to,
What's
Go ahead,
that?
Dorothea. Go
I was
ahead,
going to
Dorothea.
say, Bob, actually, you'd be setting a public hearing for this matter.
Right.
Oh, okay. This is just setting the public hearing. Okay, great. Thanks.
Sorry, Jeff.
I think it's a fantastic use. I think it's a good synergy between a bakery and a coffee shop. And I think it's also great for Northfield Common because it's the type of business that people linger. And it's one of those building businesses that you love to have in every walkable business area. So I think it's a great fit. Any
Steve-
other comments, questions?
Steve has something.
Oh, I'm sorry, Steve. I didn't see your hand.
Yeah, I just want to say that this also, you talk about parking, if and when the parking change is finalized, that alleviates, the overcrowding or will allow this use with the tables in that area, the same as it helped the upper end of Shane Place.
Okay, great. I'll make a motion to, go ahead.
One more question. Mary Ann, are you going to roast your own coffee or are you going to?
No, I've actually I've partnered with a local roaster, and so there'll be no roasting on site.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. I will then
Okay.
make a motion to move this special use application to public hearing. Did you set the date,
I'll second
Dorothea?
that.
Okay, date would be March 9th at 7 PM.
Second that,
It is.
and I'll ask for a roll call vote, Dorothea.
Trustee Keating,
Dan?
Oh, sorry, I was on mute. Keating, aye.
Trustee Lampier,
Lampier, aye.
Trustee Stetser,
That's all right.
Trustee Galusha,
Trustee Galusha, aye.
Mayor Corby.
Corby, aye.
Motion
Next
passes.
item we have
Hey,
is
hold
the
on 1 minute. Hey, hold on 1 minute. Hey, Marianne, just so you know, we would love to be able to do this quicker. We have to do this for open meetings, and the public has to comment and that kind of thing. So this is a procedural thing. We don't have any say in how long this takes. Believe me, we'd like to do it tomorrow for you. But that's
I
literally
understand.
legally the soonest we can do it.
I understand. Thank you.
Okay. Yep.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you
See ya.
for coming in, Marianne. We're looking forward to your coffee.
Thanks. It's going
Yeah.
to be awesome place.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, next item is we have the annual non-municipal use permit for benches installed by Gemvitat along their place of business on the dock on Shane Place.
I will make a motion that we approve that with the same conditions as have been in place previously.
I'll second that. Any discussion? If there is none, Dorothea, would you call a vote, please?
Trustee Keating,
Keating, aye.
Trustee Lampier,
Lampier, aye.
Trustee Stetser,
That's all right.
Trustee Galusha,
Trustee Galusha, aye.
Mayor Corby.
Corby, aye.
Motion passes.
Hey, before we go
Okay.
on to the next one, we didn't point out what a nice job Brooklyn did on giving Mary's update there on the finance report. So thank you, Brooklyn. If you're still on the line, you did a really nice
He's
job.
there.
Appreciate it.
I am. Thank you. Thank you.
You
I have
are
a
Brooklyn,
great
and
instructor.
that's one of many things.
Thank you.
Just come back tomorrow morning, Brooklyn. You did
Yeah,
great.
Here at 7:30.
Can get you personally.
All right. Okay, next item we have is a proposed local law. Jeff, Steve, and I have talked about this. We had a problem in the code because the amended code didn't provide a real avenue to allow holiday hots across the street. So I'm going to let Jeff explain what our rationale was for this, Jeff. Jeff,
Yep.
you're
So,
muted. Yep, thank you.
yeah, anyway, I think the rationale is that the planning board or the zoning board of appeals is having a difficult time applying the temporary use permit for businesses like Holiday Hots, maybe even the Christmas tree sales down at the dairy, certainly the farmer's market. So this will allow for all of those kind of uses. It's very, very similar to the transient retail merchant provision that we got out of the code, except that it takes away from the clerk the discretionary authority and gives it to the Board of Trustees where really it properly lies
And the clerk did not want that responsibility.
and shouldn't have it. Not only didn't she want it, she
Right.
shouldn't have it.
As an administrative official, it doesn't make sense for the clerk to make a discretionary decision like that. That is correct. Comments, questions?
I have a question. Jeff, is there any reason to not have Steve do it? Or
I would consider it to be the same reason.
okay,
He would need some tightened up parameters and it really would be difficult. You're giving him discretionary authority when the trustees really ought to have it.
okay.
So,
Okay.
this is Trustee Lampier. I have a question. Renee, was your question regarding fees? Did I hear you say fees? I'm sorry.
No,
See-
no, it was just a general question because when we were exploring this before, we have talked about what the building inspector should handle or the CEO should handle versus trustees, particularly with temporary permits. And so it came up when we were doing our zoning code update. I just wanted to hear if it would make sense to have the CEO do it, but it sounds like no. So I wasn't talking about fees. I was talking about authority.
I see. So I do wonder about that. Have we ever discussed some sort of a cost to this? Because they're doing, here we have regular businesses who are operating all the time and paying taxes and all that sort of thing. And then you have somebody who comes in on a temporary basis or a semi-temporary basis, and we're not collecting any fees or taxes or anything else for their use of public property. Okay, so
I'll let
Steve has
Steve
an
answer
answer.
that one. I'll let
Okay.
Steve answer.
Okay,
Yeah, no,
Steve.
we are charging it based on our tax rate.
Okay, thank you. That's a clarification. Thank you.
Their annual
There is
sales,
a
whatever they do, like Charlie did last year, he paid us based on his total gross sales for the time period he was there.
That's good. Okay, that sounds more fair, like a level playing field. Okay, thank you.
Provision 189.5 allows the trustees to set the fee and adjust that as we do with our other fees at the annual meeting every year.
Okay,
My only
Thank you.
question, I'm sorry, Lily, were you done?
yes, I am finished.
Okay,
Thank you.
sorry about that. My only question on this was, did it apply to food trucks as well? So it lists in 189.2 all the what a short-term business might be, and a food truck would seem to slide in well with that. And we should maybe be explicit about it.
The only thing I would ask is a food truck that somehow we separate it, because trying to charge a fee on a food truck that's there for one night versus somebody who's there for a couple of months. Do you know what I mean? It's just, how do you do that? You know what I mean? They're gonna come back and say, I made $200 tonight and give us $3. You know what I mean? So somehow could we do something to separate them, or does the fee have to be one fee fits all, or can it be a different fee based on different use?
I think the other thing that, where Howdy Hots is, he's not next to anybody. But we might want to think the food truck thing through on this, because there are some pitfalls with food trucks. Where you can put them can you put them in state roads or allow them there? Certainly probably not on a permanent basis. You'd have to get approval from DOT. And then the other issue is, based on previous experience we've had, is businesses like Hungry's and Pontillo's would probably object if there was a food truck that was located near them when they're paying taxes and they're not. We've heard that objection before. So in the interim, we're just introducing this tonight, and you might want to read through it, critique it, and I think we probably should have another discussion about it before we move it to public hearing.
So to answer Dan's question, I think a food truck does fit within the definition.
Yeah, that's how I read it too.
So
it literally does, because it literally says 9 months or less, and you're selling something on a street. And I mean, we're talking about boats and box cars and motor vehicles and selling from there, but not a food truck. It just seems we should be.
Isn't a food truck a motor vehicle?
Yeah, technically, sure.
Yeah, I think
so. The question then is, there are controls in this thing. You would not have to grant every permit. You know, you could be very careful about, and that's the intent. And that's why we're doing it with the Board of Trustees having discretion, is, you've got controls in there that if you don't think it fits within, let's say, a residential neighborhood, you would state the reasons aligning those facts with the factors in the code. But I will say that I think it does include a food truck. So you might want to think about that.
Well, then could we do it as far as a fee, you do like a 1 day?
Right.
a 3-day fee, and then once you get beyond it or a week or more, it goes to the tax rate. Something
Yeah.
like that.
Well,
No?
yeah, you got to be careful about treating these businesses. I mean, you got to be careful about equal protection. And I was thinking about, there's a difference between a fee and the tax that we're imposing. And a fee that you impose has to be more related to your administrative cost in issuing the permit. So if there's more work involved, let's say, or there's more administrative work, I mean, I don't know how else to say it, then you might be entitled to charge more of a fee. I mean, I suppose the justification is you really don't know, but I mean, you could know. You could see their books, you could see their receipts, and you could tax them appropriately. I'm just nervous about doing an unequal fee arrangement without an unequal amount of effort on the part of the village.
Well, could we do just a single day permit and then anything else? Do you know what I mean? A 1-day permit for a transient merchant is X amount of dollars. Anything other is charged on a tax rate of whatever our tax rate is.
Well, there'd have to be a justification for why we're charging more of a fee for one than the other. I mean, they're basically the same business. It's just the period smaller, shorter than one period is shorter than the other.
Although, Jeff, isn't it somewhat similar to the sewer rate that the first, I don't know, 2,000 gallons or something, it's this rate, and then beyond that, it's another rate?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the concept, I don't know the theory behind sewer rental rates, but isn't that really based on the fact that you're giving them an upfront cost to help front the upfront construction?
Well, in any case, I don't think we need to resolve it tonight, but I think,
No.
I think Jeff and Steve can resolve this offline. I think the other thing that we should all think about is in the past, we've had applications to have, say, food trucks on Sutherland Street across from Sutherland High School. And probably the neighbors that live there would not be much in favor of that. So we've got to sort of explore some of those scenarios and make sure that we've thought everything through where these transient merchants, where they're appropriate, and in some places where they may not be appropriate. So I think there's a little more work to do on the draft. Comments from everyone else?
I can't remember how quickly do we need to move on this one. I remember that, I mean, when Harley Day Hots, we want to get it in place before Harley Day Hots comes to us again, but do we have another reason that we would need to move it to public hearing tonight, or can we take a little bit of time with this one?
I think we can take a little bit of time because he never sets up before at the earliest. If there's some nice weather in April, he might be there. Usually his first date is sometime in May.
Yes, usually he will not set up till the right around the 1st of May or maybe at the end of April. So I think if we had this finalized, changes by March, public hearing, and did everything our first meeting in April, I think we'd be in line with his time frame.
Can it hurt then, accordingly, can it hurt then to set the public hearing now, knowing that Steve and Jeff will get the work done between now and then?
Excuse me, are you done, Dan? Did you finish speaking, Dan?
Yes.
Thank you. I think first, before we set the public hearing, we have to decide what we're sending to public hearing. And we have not yet determined exactly what we're proposing, whether we're talking about a separate fee for a food truck, a 24-hour fee, or whether we're blending it in, or I don't think we have all the language yet. Before we set the public hearing, I think we need to know that.
Lily is correct. We can make changes if they make it less restrictive, but if we do anything that makes it more restrictive, then we would have to hold, we couldn't hold the public hearing, make that motion tonight. So I think probably we've got 2 weeks before the next meeting. I think we can hold off till then. That'll still give plenty of time to Holiday Hots. We won't be impacting their season, but let's do this right.
Yeah, and I
So-
think if it changes, you still have to stale it 5 days when there's a final version, don't you?
That's right. There's the aging requirement. That's correct, Steve.
Well, we can get that out 5 days ahead of the next meeting. That's the issue.
Right.
Dorothea, if we have to send this to county planning, which is 30 days, and we want to meet a middle of April hearing date, well, we'd have to also, all right, we'd have to get that permit lined up to go in early April as well. So they'd have to track together, but when 30 days, roughly what are we looking at to send it a public hearing to meet our first meeting in April, let's say?
I would say March 9th. On a
Okay.
safe- on a
All right,
safe
so
bet.
so I think our next meeting will work then. Okay.
Real quick, can you just scrap using the tax rate and go to something like you do with these peddlers permits and set up a season or a term limit, or like Steve suggested, a single event? That would be a lot easier, and you might actually recoup what the actual cost of the
Yeah.
person being there.
Yeah, I was thinking about a flat rate of some kind that might work
Yeah.
better. So, okay. Steve and I'll
Yeah.
work on that. Steve and I'll work on it.
Yeah, because if you actually look in the code under peddlers, Jeff, we have set different fees for different durations.
Do that. Well, you and I'll look at it, Steve.
Okay.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, let's move on. The other issue I had under my member items tonight is I've been contacted by Susan Hughes from Rocktricity, and it appears now that if we want to rebid our participation in the CCA program, now would be the time to do it. So I told her I would ask all of you if you want to make another attempt and go out to bid again.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I
Renee,
agree.
Frank?
I
I
agree.
didn't know if it was
Okay.
official vote or not. Yes.
Oh, sorry.
Well, why don't we make it an official vote? That way it's clearly documented. So I'll make a motion that the board authorize Rocktricity to rebid our participation in the CCA program. Do I have a second? Yep, yes.
Birthday second.
And this would be for the same terms as originally proposed in 2020.
Okay. That's for the look back and to remain the same, or what do we want to do about the
Well,
look back?
a 1 year look back, exactly the same terms that were in the original bid.
Okay. So the birthday person going to make a second there?
Frank, do you want a second?
Sure, I can second that. Trustee Galusha.
Okay.
Good.
Okay, Dorothea, would you call the vote, please?
Yes,
Hold
trustee
on,
Katie.
before we vote, we had talked about this at length the last time, guys. In a time of with the prices falling as much as they did, the look back is not going to give us lower rates if we do it the way that we passed it. And so what we had talked about the last time was re-educating the public on this, that, hey, we can get a better rate and it will be a lower rate, but it will not fulfill what we had originally promised because nobody expected rates to fall as much as they did. And what we would be doing is we would be sitting around waiting for rates to rise so that we could then do what we said we were going to do, which would lose the villagers money. So I want to be clear, we talked about this at length the last time and we agreed that we weren't going to do it that time, but the next time if we got a lower rate that didn't adhere to the look back, we were going to take that lower rate and just educate the public because nobody would care because we would be saving them money.
Okay.
And we don't necessarily have to make that decision tonight because we can see what the bids are, what we get back. And then we can go out and make a decision. The other thing to consider too is there's been a number of people that have already signed up for the community solar program, and that guarantees, I believe it's a 10% savings on your utility bill. So we should keep that in mind as well. Okay, so I
Okay.
will, we have a motion on the floor. It's been seconded by Frank. Dorothea, would you call for a vote, please?
Yes, trustee Keating,
Keating, aye.
trustee Lampier,
Lampier, aye.
trustee Stetser,
That's her eye.
trustee Galusha,
Trustee Galusha, aye.
Mayor Corby.
Corby, aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any member items?
I have,
Okay,
uh, the,
go
I
ahead,
have-
Renee.
real quick, Dorothea filed the home rule resolution that we passed at our last budget meeting, so that we're all set for we don't need to do anything more. Now we will just continue to hope that we get support for the legislation this year and see where that goes. It's the same as last year for the 25-mile-per-hour speed limit. And then I had a question about the upcoming village election. I know that the last one, there was the absentee ballot was an option. And when I went to Monroe County to the Board of Elections online, there's no box for the village. What are the plans for the election? And, given that our cases are declining, we don't know if that'll continue, but what are the precautions that are being taken?
You want me to jump in here, Bob?
Yeah, why don't you jump in here? Yeah.
The village elections are run by Monroe County. I'm not understanding why they're not providing that option. I can give them a call tomorrow and get that clarified, because we have nothing to do with the issuance of that absentee ballot. So we don't even have the ability to do it.
It may be that they automatically send it. I didn't know if that's what I was trying to figure out. Do we have to resubmit if you're a villager and you want to vote via absentee ballot, but you already checked the box for the previous, I think you have to do one every year, right?
I'm not sure.
That's what I was trying to clarify. We need some.
I will reach out to Monroe. I'll reach out to the Board of Elections tomorrow. I do need to talk to them on a couple follow-up matters anyway.
Okay.
Renee, I think you do need to request one. You do, if you want an absentee ballot, you need to
Yeah, you
send in
apply.
a request.
Yeah, there isn't a box for village, so I didn't know if will they automatically know to do that? That they know it's village?
Yeah, it's for anything, any election in Monroe County, it's got any general election. It's all the same form.
Okay. Renee, are you done with your member
Okay.
items?
I am done. Thank you, Dan.
Okay.
Do you have a member item, Dan?
Yeah, I have two quick ones. One of them
Okay.
is on the. So when I look at the village website, there is, when you look at the calendar, you've got tonight's meeting, and in there is a meeting packet, and that meeting packet is at least one version old. How do we ensure that what's up on the website is the latest and greatest so that the public has it?
I'm going to answer that if you don't mind. The requirement of that is that we put up the most recent packet as practicable. Our packet keeps changing. So as much as it keeps changing, it limits the amount of time I have to go ahead and get that posted up there.
Okay.
So like today, by the time I had everything, it's late. It's just one last thing that just didn't happen.
Okay.
So typically once I get it up, I don't get a chance to redo it.
Okay, but how do we change that so that, because do you want to train me on how to put files up there? It shouldn't be.
No.
It shouldn't take more than a minute to do. So if you've got too much on your plate, how can we hand it to somebody else in the office or
And
one of
it's
the
not
other?
a matter of doing that. It's a matter of the number of times we change a packet. Because as you know, sometimes that packet changes 3 to 4 times between the initial, the second, the third, the fourth. So outside of me constantly updating that packet, I put the initial packet up there. I mean, if the board would like, I will make every effort to put the final packet up there. It's just,
I would like, yes.
if it's coming out at 4 o'clock before the night of the meeting, I can't guarantee with running around getting last minute stuff done. I will do my
Okay.
best.
Okay, so
I'd just like to make a
so what
comment
I'm
here.
trying to say,
I'd
though,
like to make a
Dorothy,
comment here,
and
thank
hold
you.
on, Bob, I'm
The
still
last
talking.
2 days,
Bob, I'm still
Dorothea
talking.
has been
Bob,
fully
I'm
engaged
still talking.
with
Bob, I'm still
transferring the
talking.
email from one
Bob,
platform to the
Bob,
other. You
please,
asked a
I'm still
question, and
talking.
we're responding.
Bob, I didn't
And
hear a word of that.
Dorothea has
I'm
spent
still
nearly the
talking.
full day today. Out of order,
It
Dan.
takes 30 seconds to do it. I'm asking, could you train me to do it? And then you don't have to do it each time. Could you train somebody else in the office? I don't like the fact, and I don't understand why anybody would fight me on this, that the public doesn't have the latest and greatest. And look, I know how hard it is to copy a file up to a web server. It's not hard at all. Okay, so I'm asking that if you've got too much on your plate, Dorothea, hand it to someone else, because this should be here for everybody. Nobody's coming down on Dorothea right now. I just want to make sure that we have the latest and greatest up there for people to see. It doesn't take very long.
We will make it happen in the office. I have
Thank
staff now to assist. We will make it happen.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
And I would just like to add that task is an administrative task, which under guidelines for municipal government is best handled by administrative officials, not discretionary decision makers. And that's done to protect all of us.
Okay, copying a file to a web server is not a big deal. Okay, the second member item I had is I do want to reiterate on the record that I'm in favor of actively directly negotiating with Mark IV to solve the 75 Monroe situation.
Okay, let's move on to any other member items from any other trustees.
Steve's got his hand up. I don't know if you see him, Mayor Corby.
Oh, Steve, go ahead.
Yeah, the only thing I'd like to say in regards to the packet, where isn't anything else, there should be a cutoff time. So that there is time in a day, depending on the load, but there should be a cutoff time on the day of the meeting, that there's a drop dead time, that if you don't get the information in before that, that's where the packet is. You know what I mean? Every other function we have has a deadline date and things like that. So I don't see why you wouldn't have a deadline date of, say, 2 o'clock on the day of the meeting. That's it. You know what I mean? Whatever comes
Well,
in.
actually, Steve, we do have a deadline date. It's Friday morning to get everything into Dorothea. Unless it's an emergency, everything should be to Dorothea by Friday morning, every topic that we discuss. And that would also resolve this problem as well. Okay, so moving on, let's go to the minutes. First set of minutes,
Real quick, I
First
did
set
have
of
a
minutes?
couple item for the clerk's
Okay.
report. Do you want to do those first?
Yep. Go ahead,
Okay.
go ahead.
We have had permission requested from the Chamber of Commerce to advertise the candidates forum in our e-newsletter. That would be approved by the village board as to the resolution from the meeting. And I just want to make sure the board is okay with me doing that release. We would be pretty much copying their flyer.
That sounds great.
So I believe I need approval to send that out.
Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to publicize the mayoral candidate forum via the village newsletter.
Frank, you're on.
Oh,
Frank?
no, fell asleep.
Frank, you're
Frank, you
on.
want to second that?
Okay, I'll second that motion.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. Dorothea, would you call a vote, please?
Sure. Trustee Keating,
Keating, aye.
trustee Lampier,
Lanfear, aye.
trustee Stetser,
That's her eye.
trustee Galusha,
Trustee Galusha, aye.
Mayor Corby.
Corby, aye. And I see Scott Harder is here, so let's jump back to a discussion about Rand Creek. Steve, Scott, you have the floor.
I haven't spoken with you folks on this topic in a while, and I got a message from Dorothea that you wanted to speak about it tonight, so I guess I'm looking to know what you'd like to speak about. Would you like a status from me as to where we are with things on the project? Is that a good way to start?
I think what we've heard from Zach is that erosion is still occurring there. And we want to find out, you did some research into what you felt was the best solution to address that. And because we're in our budget process, we need to get a handle on what the potential cost is and if it's feasible to undertake that project this year. I believe some of it might be able to be covered by the sewer budget because some of the infrastructure that's at risk involves the sanitary sewer on Rand Place Extension. So with that, I'll hand it over to you.
That's correct. Okay, we did take a look at the situation and we analyzed the flows through the creek at that location and contacted DEC representatives to see what they were willing to allow us to do because they don't like gabion any longer. And we came up with a stone treatment that seems to be the right call. We have not submitted our plans to the DEC yet. One of the things I wanted to speak with you about is if you'd like us to proceed with getting their approval and the Army Corps of Engineer approval for that improvement. But the one thing, as Zach knows, it's impediment to even doing that is the existing tree that is out there right by the bridge that we believe is intertwined with the sanitary sewer pipe below it that connects into the public system in Rand Place. I'm not sure that we know of a good solution to that. And Zach, I guess I don't know if any progress has been made on removing that tree or what's been done since we last spoke.
I've met with a few different people and showed them the situation. And everybody's kind of scared off about it with all the utilities that are running underneath there. So I think our solution is going to be us going in there with chainsaws and kind of slowly slicing the tree up to try to straighten the flow out. One idea that we did get was to put in a concrete retaining wall on Palumbo's side of the creek from the bridge to where the stump is to try to redirect the water without erosion. I don't know if that would be part of your plan, Scott.
We could propose it to, ultimately it has to be approved by the DEC. So, and we could propose it to them and we could try to justify it because of the uniqueness of the situation. Once again, they don't like these retaining walls and gabions. They like more natural treatments as they feel it to be. We could try that.
Well, I think the other thing, let me just jump in here. On Palumbo's side, there's enough room there that it seems like it would be better to regrade the slope and make it less steep. Retaining wall is always going to be a maintenance issue in the future. And given the velocity of water in that creek during storm events, that to me sounds like a liability. It seems like a much better solution would be to expand the prism of the creek. And that's the side where we actually have room to do that. And in talking to Mr. Palumbo, he didn't seem to object to potentially investigating that option.
The other thing too
and I think the last
thing we do on that side of the creek, then we
Okay,
therefore
one person at a time. Zach?
Sorry. Anything
ahead,
we
Zach.
do on Palumbo's side of the creek, we then take ownership of after that. So I think we might want to talk to Palumbo about what he would like to do on his side of the creek also and get his input. That way we're kind of removed from there because we're only concentrating on the road side of it. Just the stump and the road side of the creek would be our responsibility.
Well, the two are interrelated because because there's a bend there, the water, if you put a hard surface on Palumbo's side or it's still narrow, it's going to sort of ricochet across the street and erode the side where we're putting in the rocks. So I think, it's a total engineering solution, and I think there's a justification for looking at both sides. So we're not here again in 20 years and redoing this again, but hopefully we can design something that will be permanent, at least until we're all gone. Does that make sense to you, Scott? And Lily, I'll get to you. I see your hand.
I think it does make sense. I think we've been kind of thwarted by the presence of the tree, and then the last piece of information I had was on Mr. Palumbo's plantings along that side. And if we do go over to that side and we apply stone treatment there, I mean, I think that's a good solution. But those plantings would have to move. As I see it.
Well, whatever we do, we're going to have to talk to Mr. Palumbo. I think it does make sense now to get input from DEC and the Army Corps if that's necessary. And Lily, you've had your hand up a long time, so I want to recognize you.
Thank you. I do recall, and refresh me if I'm thinking about the wrong tree, Zach. I do believe that Mr. Palumbo said that he would remove that tree in question. He would take responsibility. He thought it belonged to the man up at the end of the street. His name I can't remember. And he was going to ask him, and he would take responsibility for removing that tree. Am I thinking of the wrong tree?
Not sure. We've already taken the tree down. The village covered the cost of that, so the only thing that's remaining is just the stump.
Yes, but there was another tree that was on the Palumbo side at the end, right by the bridge, and he said he would speak to the owner and talk to him about, and they would take responsibility for removing that tree. No, I don't remember that correctly.
That was the tree that was determined. That was the tree that we took down.
Oh, I see. The second is, and I think that Bob had mentioned this in a previous conversation, is regarding an event because everything shoots through that tiny little aperture there, which is substandard, the little driveway that goes over, that accesses that property. When it was built with a very small opening, a very small little tunnel, and everything, when it shoots out of there, now it has a much higher velocity, so much pressure behind it because it's coming out of this smaller opening. Was that one of the options that was discussed that day, Scott? Do you recall that?
Well, that is certainly true. I guess we don't really have any ability to change the bridge there.
But the owners of the property do. Okay.
Yeah, the owners of that property do.
And we have discussed that with them and explained that issue to them, that is part of the problem, is the opening underneath the bridge is undersized and causing a jet effect, making the erosion issue worse. That is correct. Right. Okay. Right. So Scott, also, are your previous cost estimate numbers, are those still accurate, or do you want to get back to us with refinements after you talk to DEC?
I'd like to get back to you with refinements. I wanted to have this conversation to know that you wanted us to go into these next steps, and so I would like to have the ability to adjust those numbers if we need to.
Okay. All right. Any other questions for Scott tonight?
Yes, can I ask a question? And I think it's a matter of the wording that this item appears in our agenda. It says approval for Scott Harder to issue an RFP for the sewer maintenance and review of the restoration plan. What are we talking about? We're talking about sewer maintenance. We're not talking about the sewer system within the village, are we?
No, I think that's kind of a mistitle, Frank. I think it really is an erosion project, but it is relevant to the sanitary sewer because the sanitary sewer is located very close to the creek.
Yes,
so it's just a progress report. Mm-hmm.
All right. So what we're talking about is the sewer maintenance related to that project, not the sewer maintenance that you, Bob, and Zach and I have been talking about with the whole village sewer system.
That is correct.
Okay, that's all. I just wanted that to be clarified.
Okay. Frank, I have a question for you. You tend to know this. The procurement policy, do we have to put out this RFP to others as well?
Depending on the cost, yes, we have to get some other quotes,
Bids.
unless
We
it's
would
an
get bids.
emergency situation, and I don't think it's an emergency situation.
Our intent is to bid this, Dan.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
May I ask a question, clarification about what you were just speaking about an RFP? Are there instances, though, Frank, where one firm, let's say specifically Scott, would have information and only he would have specific information, and so he would be a specialized source, a consultant, rather than not just anybody could do this, but he has specific
Frank-
background?
Scott,
Does that change
every
everything?
year we renew Scott as the village engineer. He's a professional service, so he's partially exempt from the bidding requirement. He
That's what I
would
mean.
prepare the RFP so we could
I
plan
see.
the construction documents, but we would bid the construction of the project because it will exceed the limits for just getting quotes.
Got it. Thank you. I just wanted to clarify that for myself. Thank you.
Okay. Yep. You're welcome. Okay. Anything else on that, Scott?
No, I guess I'm done for now, and now I just have to figure out which button to push to get out of here.
Okay. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you for tuning in.
Okay, thank you very much.
Bye, Scott.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Moving back to minutes.
Can I do the one
the
last
first set
thing
of
I
min-
had? I'm sorry, can I
Yeah,
do that one last
Go
thing I
ahead.
had?
That's right.
I
Yep.
just need, Brooklyn, we labeled as a deputy clerk, and he actually should be a deputy treasurer. So can I just have that correction made, please?
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Dorothea, call the vote, please.
Trustee Keating,
Move on.
trustee Lampier,
Lanfear, aye.
trustee Stetser,
That's all right.
trustee Galusha,
Trustee Galusha, aye.
Mayor Corby,
Corby, aye.
trustee
Okay.
Keating,
Okay.
did you,
I'm going to abstain. I had to get something out of the oven. I didn't hear
okay,
that part.
motion passes. Thank you.
Okay, moving back to minutes. Anything else, Dorothea, before we go to minutes?
I would just say Marina has been fabulous in helping me getting the minutes caught up and done. I'd like to say this is probably the best we've done in being caught up. So a shout out to her for all the excellent work. I truly appreciate both of them, her and Brooklyn.
Good to have extra
Thank you
staff
very
in the
much.
office. All right. First set of minutes we have is January 6th, 2021. Does anyone have any corrections?
Bob, do you want me to hang around for this stuff?
No, I think you can go, Jeff. I think we're just minutes is all we have left.
All right, everybody have a good night.
Thanks,
You too,
Jeff.
Jeff. Thank
Thank you.
you.
Will you need me for anything else tonight?
No,
Mayor
I
Corby,
think you can go too, Zach. Thank you.
Mayor
And
Corby,
Steve, if you
before
want-
we
Good
let,
night.
Yep.
I was gonna say,
Go
before we
ahead,
let
Renee.
Zach go, there was an item that you skipped on the agenda, which was the update on the State Street Bridge reconstruction. So I didn't know where, if, I don't know if Zach needs to stay for this, or if you want to put it at the end, or if you want to do it now.
Let's do it now before we get into minutes. I think the only thing I had on that is I did confirm that DOT is planning to not only install the traffic light at North Main and Shane Place, but also intending to install 2 other lights. So there would be a gap in traffic allowing egress in and out of Northfield Common.
So temporary lights, so there'll be 4 total? Do you know where the other ones would be, or did you?
3, I think it's 3 total. One at the bridge on on State Street.
Okay.
One on Shane Place about where the Bill Walls building is, and the other one at North Main Street and the west entrance to Shane Place.
Okay, so there'll be one in the middle of Shane, or at top Bill Walls or whatever it was. So
Right,
one actually on Shane. Okay, so that's new. And then we keep talking about our push to get them to make sure they don't narrow that sidewalk. And I don't know where we are with that. And I don't know if they're planning to do any more outreach before they get everything underway, or if we're all done with that. We thought they might have one more public information meeting, but it sounds like they're going to get started before that can happen.
I did get an email, Renee, which I think I copied you on, that there's one more meeting with them about striping for different things, a final striping plan. And I'll follow up with them. I'm going to write myself a note if we can schedule that, because I think the sooner the better.
Yeah, because there's plenty of room that wide, I mean, we've talked about this with them and they weren't too excited about it, but they're ripping everything up. So they're putting the curb back. If we lose the opportunity, I know it's only, I think they said 6 inches on each side, but that's a foot. And we know that that's a highly trafficked sidewalk. It's already wide, it's wider than it needs to be. And we don't want to lose that given that that's such a high speed corridor. So
I agree with you 100%. It sounds like the last time they were pretty entrenched, so I'm not optimistic, but I'm certainly willing to bring it up again because it's the right thing to do.
Okay, great.
Okay. And Renee, do you have any updates on the bike share? Anything since you last reported?
Nothing new. I just got the feedback from the attorney about and our insurance provider. So I'm going to follow up with Hopper on that. Sounds like the insurance they want to offer is more than adequate, but so we still have some things. Hopefully next time I'll have a few more updates, but nothing has changed.
Great. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, finally minutes. January 6th, any corrections or changes?
Bob, I will
That
point out
you-
there is a correction that was made adding Mary to the meeting because she was there and I neglected to have her up on top. So that's the only
Okay,
correction.
so noted.
All right, good night, all.
Good
Thanks,
night,
Steve.
Steve. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of January 6th. Do I have a second?
I'll second that, trustee Galusha.
Dorothea, would you call a vote, please?
Trustee Keating,
Keating, aye.
trustee
Excuse me.
Lampier,
Lanfear, aye.
trustee Stetser,
That's her eye.
trustee Galusha,
Trustee Galusha, aye.
Mayor Corby,
RBI.
motion passes.
Next set of minutes is January 12th. Any corrections or comments?
I have a correction on page 3 of January 12th, right after all the bullets. It says trustee Stetser requested the schematic for the pump out. It should be bump out.
Thank you, Renee. Any
And
other corrections?
I think
Yeah.
that,
Go ahead.
I've got another one.
Go ahead, Dan.
If you scroll down after the update on the 25-mile-per-hour speed limit legislation, it says trustee Stetser updated the board that due to the new session in the assembly and the stall in the Senate. I didn't know what that meant. So I don't know if we can
There is
strike.
no, yeah, strike that. There is no stall in the Senate. It hasn't gone there yet.
Right, okay.
Okay.
And then in that same paragraph later, just remove the word "the" before Brooke staff. It says to review the background of the bill and the Brooke staff. So I think it should just take the out. I don't know if you can follow along with what I'm saying. Normally I send these to you ahead of time, but I couldn't because of the email, so my apologies.
No problem. I understand.
And I have another
any
one. I do. I have
One more?
lots
Okay.
of them for
All
this
right,
one.
go ahead.
The
Go
next
ahead.
page under member items, and this is throughout the rest of the notes, anywhere it says Hopper, when it's referring to the bike share, it should be spelled H-O-P-R, all in caps, not Hopper, like it's. And on that paragraph about Hopper, it says about midway through there, it says one in front of Town Hall and at the waterfront of Village Hall. I think it's supposed to just say front of Village Hall.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
all right. I'll make a motion to approve. Oh, any other corrections from anyone else? Okay, I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a
I thought
second?
Dan had a couple from this one, but maybe not.
No, it's okay. I can live with it. It's fine.
Okay. All
Thank
right.
you.
Okay, all right. Do we have a second to approve?
Second. Oh, Frank, sorry. Darn it. It's my
No, that's
birthday.
That's all right. Okay. Dorothea, roll call vote, please.
Trustee Keating,
Keating, aye.
trustee Lampier,
Lanfear, aye.
trustee Stetser,
That's all right.
Trustee Galusha,
Trustee Galusha, aye.
Mayor Corby.
Corby, aye. Next set of minutes is from January 20th.
Actually, Mary had a correction on this, and I'm just gonna, she was correcting under the budget transfers. She said it's
Yep.
just, she reviewed the budget transfers because there wasn't two, there was more than that. And she wanted to cross off, address the previous question of Trustee Galusha regarding how the village came up with the monies. She didn't feel it was needed.
Okay, all right. Any other corrections on January 20th, 2021? Okay, I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second, Trustee Galusha.
Thank you, Frank. Dorothea, would you call a vote, please?
Let's see, it looks like, Dan, you're gonna abstain from this one. Trustee Lampier,
Lampier, aye.
Trustee Stetser,
That's all right.
Trustee Galusha,
Trustee Galusha, aye.
Mayor Corby,
Corby, aye.
motion passes.
Next set is January 26th.
Yeah, I have a couple changes on this one. At the bottom of page 2 of this, my camera. Last trustee Keating questioned that due to the program request, blah, blah, blah. Strike the word previous from there to disclose involvement. On the next page, the paragraph that begins Trustee Galusha supported project and statements by Mayor Corby stated that the labor cost, so add the word labor, before cost, because we were talking about both direct costs and yeah. And then I think I have one more in here. In the bit about the Collins property,
Could you back up, Dan? I wanted to, excuse me, Dan. I just wanted to see, where did you put it? Where were you inserting labor costs?
It was on page 3 of the notes.
Yep. Which line?
It's the paragraph that begins Trustee Galusha supported project and statements. Stated that the labor cost to the village is minimal.
But I think actually it was actually both the labor cost and material costs because they were providing or using recycled materials. So there was virtually no material costs either.
Okay.
Okay. And on this is just above treasurer's report in those notes. There was ultimately the idea, and this was important, that the trustees all acknowledged that we did not need an amended application from the applicant. This was the outcome of this whole discussion, was that we could handle we could handle these things during the approval process. We didn't need another application from them. I think that's very important to include.
Okay, so we have several trustees agreed that an amendment is not needed. So you want me to reflect that the trustees
Where are you? Where are you, Dan?
above the treasurer's report?
Right above treasurer's report.
Yep.
I thought to take this note right around the paragraph that begins, Mr. Dunleavy stated that Ms. Collins is heading up this project. It's ultimately her project. The current plans are the vision they wish to pursue. And then a new paragraph stating the trustees were in agreement that the applicant did not have to submit a new application or a revision to their application.
I would want that checked out because I mean, if Dorothea is writing this exactly as it transpired, I don't feel comfortable changing the minutes to reflect something different.
Go right ahead. It's just that's definitely what we talked about at that time.
No.
I asked the question, we answered the question, we were all in agreement.
If I
Well-
can comment, I think there was a synopsis, the board was in agreement that she didn't have to amend the paperwork that we've received. I think that's what we were getting to. Is that correct, Dan?
Whatever
Yeah.
is reflected in the tape, Dorothea, I'm fine with that.
Yes.
I
Okay.
believe that was correct.
Okay, and then keep going down just before executive session. It's on the second to last page of the 26th. Strike the, in the last, Trustee Keating presented member item regarding 75 Monroe that he isn't, right now it reads that he is in favor of allowing Mark IV to solve the issues. Strike the word allowing, of negotiating with Mark IV to resolve the issue, to solve the issues. I would never
Yep.
say allowing Mark IV.
Yeah, okay, gotcha. Because that makes it sound like you, whatever they decide. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a couple, Dan, when you're done.
I am done on that day.
Okay. So I am on, I believe this is page 6. Again, change the hopper to HOPR. And then on page 7, where it says the board determined that further discussion with building inspector Loth would be needed to determine if other permits are necessary. He did say that the right-of-way permit is what was required. So I don't know if everyone's okay with that.
Add that.
What's that?
Yeah.
Okay.
You want to add that?
Yes, I would. So we need to just change it. The board determined that further discussion with Billy, or, well, actually, but during that meeting, he said that a right-of-way permit is what is required.
We'll reflect that.
Okay, great. And then further down, it says Stetzer provided further updates before moving on. Trustee Stetzer reached out to Towpath. I had not reached them at that point. I did reach out, but that makes it sound like I actually talked to them.
Okay. We'll correct it to be, will be reaching out.
Okay, great. That's all I have.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from January 26th. Do I have a second? Frank?
Yes, I'll second that motion.
Frank,
Trustee Galusha.
thank you. Dorothea, would you call a roll call vote, please?
Sure. Trustee Keating,
Keating, aye.
Trustee Lampier,
Lampier, aye.
Trustee Stetzer,
That's all right.
Trustee Galusha,
Trustee Galusha, aye.
Mayor Corby.
Corby, aye. Next item is the minutes from February 3rd, 2021. We're quite short.
I had an edit on this one. I made a statement at the beginning that I was concerned about people being in the building during COVID when we have all this technology to have safe. You guys remember this whole conversation? That was right at the beginning of the meeting, and it's not reflected in the meeting notes, and I'd like it to be. So I don't know if you want me to paraphrase it, or if you want to go back and listen to the tape and include that in the notes.
How about I go back, listen to the tape, and I'll resubmit these at the next meeting for
Okay.
approval?
Okay,
Thank
great. I do remember that, so.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Yes, I'll second that. Trustee Galusha.
Do we want to ask any of the meeting attendees to see if anybody has any questions or items they want to discuss? We've got a bunch of people on the line.
Anybody want to say anything? Now's your chance. Okay, I guess not. All right, we have a motion to adjourn and we have a second. Dorothea, would you call a vote, please?
Absolutely. Trustee Keating,
Keating, aye.
Trustee Stetzer,
That's all right.
Trustee Lampier,
Lampier, aye.
Birthday Boy Galusha,
Trustee Galusha, aye.
Mayor Corby.
Corby, aye. Happy birthday, Frank. Thank you, everyone. Have a good
Thank you very
evening.
much.
Your birthday.
Motion passes. Good night.
Too bad
Aye.
you can't go out anywhere.